Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead. And today we're going to be doing something that has direct implications for food security. As you can see here, I have some vegetables set out. Over the past couple of years, there have been lots and lots of videos and internet articles on how you can grow vegetables from scrap. It's kind of a big hype these days. And it's sensational just a little bit, and people are drawn to it. But I wondered about the implications for food security. Are there any implications there? These are actually great experiments to run with children. And you can do pineapple, you can do lemons, you can do all kinds of things. But the thing of it is, if we think about it logically in terms of food security for the long term, what is the outcome? What is the benefit for growing vegetables from scraps? Now, it took me a while to warm up to this idea, but I have realized that there is one really good implication, which is why we are going to be doing it on our channel. Not for the hype and not for the cutesy stuff of trying to grow a lemon tree. Jim and I don't have enough years left in our lives to produce a lemon tree or pineapple in our climate that would be worth anything at all to us. So we need to use a great deal of wisdom. I mean, if you want to do it for fun or for the heck of it, just go ahead and do it. But in terms of food security, there are some pretty good implications for some of the things that we can do. Now, one of the things is to understand how plants grow, the various types of vegetables, how do they grow? And once we kind of get that, then it is easier for us to make cuttings and then to start them. Now, we're going to be focusing on stems and leaves, not roots. And so these particular vegetables will regrow fairly quickly and provide a source of vegetables for us. But to do it really, to have an ongoing production, we would need to start a whole lot of these vegetables to have daily intake from what we grow here. The huge implication that turned me toward this is the idea that in a pinch, and we may be in a pinch someday, and if we have scraps like this in our refrigerator and nothing else available to purchase, we can grow these from scraps, and then they will produce seed. And once we get that seed, then we're in business for growing more. So part of what I'm going to do is to show you how to do it at first. Then we'll grow some for daily edibles, and then we'll see if some will go to seed. So this video is really going to be in two parts. We're going to start today, and then we're going to come back periodically. And once they're up and running to produce vegetables that we can use in our kitchen as we go, we'll stop that video, and that will be video number 1. And then what we're likely to do is to transfer some of these out into our kitchen garden once we get up and running in the spring to see how many of them will really grow to produce seed. And that is a video that we will produce later in the fall. So here we go. So I've started with some lettuce. I've not washed this lettuce. I don't want to wash it. I will before we eat it. And this is just leafy lettuce. And so down here is a root plate. And roots will come out along this little edge. And so this is what we want to do right here, is to cut it about like this. And so I have cut a couple of inches off. And I'm going to take one of these little bowls and put it right here. And then I'm going to borrow this until I make fancy labels, and I'm just going to put this around so that I will know that this is my leafy green lettuce. And then this will go in a plastic bag back in the refrigerator, and we will have some lovely salads on this part of it. So this is one. This is romaine lettuce, and we're going to do the very same thing. So we cut off about 2 inches at the bottom. And again, here's the root plate. And we don't always look for a root plate on things. Some are going to be just a little bit different. I'm going to borrow the label. and put around this one so I can tell these first two apart. And this will go back in the refrigerator as well. This is bok choy. This is a wonderful vegetable that is great in salads. It's also, I love it for stir fry. And again, root plate right here, and the same type of a thing. This one I won't need to label because it's easily recognized. And back in over here. Okay, so that does it for our leafy veggies. Now, I forgot to get a new celery at the store. This one is a little wilty piece of a celery that I had in my refrigerator, and it will probably grow. I may replace it or start another one as well. We'll see how it does. And for onions, I'm just gonna now, if you can see up close here, you see that this onion curls around one center right here, and then we have another little center right here. Here's the root plate. We're going to put this in the bottom, and we should have two startups of green onions that will come from that. Now, here are the beets. These are the poorest excuses for beets I've seen in the store yet. So here's the root plate on this. Here's where the leaves emerge. Now when we do a beet, we put it this way. The root plate is here. We're going to set that aside. And I'm going to do two of them. Okay, there's the root plate. Here's where the leaves emerge. Now, one thing to remember about beets is that they will not regrow the beet root. All they are going to produce is the leafy greens on the top, which is wonderful. I love beet greens, but in order to be able to grow the root part again, we would need to have that go to seed if it's going to, and then we could retrieve some seeds from that. So that is that one. Now for carrots, here's the root, but there are also little root hairs all along here. And we are wanting it's about an inch. To have where the tops come out pointing up. Now, I don't know if you eat carrot tops. We don't eat carrot tops. This one would be for us purely for seed, although there are some recipes that you can use carrot tops for if you are interested. Now, here is a leek. And again, here's the root plate. So I'm going to cut this about right here. Oh, I've got some beet juice along that. And I'm going to drop that in here so it will stand it up. And we have that one.
Cross-contamination?
I know, it is cross-contamination indeed. Now, I want to talk about tomatoes for just a second. I'm going to show you how I'm going to start this in just a minute, and I've done it several times with success. I have just, because I love to experiment, I've done this a lot with tomatoes. And it's fun to do, and I'll show you that in just a second. What happens is if you use just a regular tomato from the store, you never know what you are going to get if you grow the seeds from this. I have hit the jackpot about one time, and all the rest, I've had really funky results that didn't really turn into anything that we were happy about eating taste-wise or shape-wise, or there was some real weirdness. Because these have been so manipulated by growers, and so these seeds are not true. But if you get lucky in your grocery store and can find what is labeled as an heirloom tomato, And this is a beautiful little tomato. And I didn't even know that our grocery store carried these. I was thrilled to find this. And so what we know is that these seeds have remained unadulterated. And with heirloom seeds, what you see is what you get. It remains true to the final product. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut this here. And then I'm going to cut about right here. And do you see all of the seeds there? Well, I'm going to take this solo cup and put it right like that. Actually, I'm going to, because my solo cup isn't huge, I'm going to put those right there like that. And I'm just going to take some more soil and cover the top. And put it in there. And we should have, from those seeds, a lot of little tiny seedlings will be poking up. And when that happens, I will replant those, probably in individual solo cups like that. And then those will go out in our kitchen garden. And so I have used those seeds to produce more plants for us. Meanwhile, this is our start. So I'm going to put these over in our sunny windowsill and let them do their thing after I add water. So I'm going to be adding just a little bit of water to the bottom of each one. And make sure that they stay watered. And we should have some action going on in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll bring you back at that point to give you an update. You don't need much water. All right, so that's it for this segment. So we'll see you in 2 or 3 weeks. Good morning, and this is check-in time for our project on growing veggies from scraps. It was exactly 2 weeks ago today when we put water in these little bowls and started this project. So I'm going to take you through it veggie by veggie. So let's start with the beets. We had 2 that were poor excuses for beets from the store, and they were dead as doornails. I couldn't get anything to grow. So about 6 days ago, Jim brought a couple more beets. These had a few little greens growing from the top. So I snipped those off, and you can see that the original slicing off place was right here. And in the past 6 days, both of these have just taken off. And so these will be ready to transplant into soil here pretty soon. Next is our onion, and there are 3 places where we've got greens emerging. I'm not sure how these are going to do. This was our leafy green lettuce, and it has just done great. Now we can look at the root plate and see that there really are no roots growing. It's just absorbing water, but it's kind of not growing very fast anymore, so I think it's about to put out some more roots, and we'll need to replant this in soil here pretty quickly. Now here's one we need to take a really close look at. This was the romaine, and as you see, in 2 weeks it has done nothing. Well, I realize that it is because that little round circle right there, that is where the leaf growth emerges from, and I cut it off. Now compare that with this one that has been growing for 3 days. I cut this one taller, so that little disc did not get severed where the leaves come out, and in 3 days we have this much growth. So I'm going to discard this one, and I'm going to replace it with this one right here. This is our bok choy. Our bok choy was up in 2 days. It really is the winner. And we're getting some little root growth, little nubby roots on the bottom there. When those are a little bit more developed, we'll put this in soil. Right now, it's not growing super fast. It's putting its energy into roots, but it's got leaves growing so that it can use photosynthesis to stay alive and make its own food. Here are our carrots. One carrot did great, and you can see how many roots it has already produced from the side and the edge. But these other two haven't done a thing. Now this one had one little tiny yellowed piece of top on it. These are not doing a thing. Even though they are producing some roots, they're not putting up any tops. So we'll see how this one goes. This is our celery, and it started up immediately as well, but it's just stalled out because I think it is growing roots. So there's one great big long root that is doing really well. These should grow about probably 6 or 8 inches tall, we are hoping. So here is our leek. It wins the root prize. In 2 weeks, that's what it looks like. So this is going in the soil here pretty quickly, and it has grown all of these green tops. Here was the original place we cut it. So it's grown all of these since the day we cut it. So it's doing great. Here are our two little tomato pieces. Many of those seeds have started to grow. I will need to go in here pretty quickly and pull out the ones that I'm going to save and put them in solo cups. I usually do grow my tomato starts in solo cups because they have a longer root, and all of my solo cups have drain holes on the bottom. So that's it for right now. You know, I have a lot of book learning on growing plants, but I can tell you that nothing takes the place of actual experience. So I have learned a few things about how these individual vegetables grow and how not to cut it too short to cut off the base where the leaves come out. So we're learning and we're growing. And the next time we come back, we probably will have a lot of these potted in soil. So we will see you at the next iteration. Welcome back. It has been almost 2 months to the day. So these veggies started from scraps. Every single one of them have had about 60 days of growth. So I've learned some things and I have an opinion, and I'll share that at the end. First of all, let's look at these tomatoes. Our 2 little pieces of sliced tomato that we buried produced over 30 starts. And of those 30, I transplanted 14 of them. And I filled these cups only half full of soil, put the little starts down inside, and as they grew, I would fill it and fill it and fill it until, this is our biggest one, until I got to the top, because all of these little hairs will grow more roots under the soil. So that gives our tomatoes a lot of extra roots to help its growth. And you'll see that these 3 are still struggling just a little bit. I haven't done much filling since I put the starts in, just a little bit. Good thing about these tomatoes, if you remember, this was an heirloom tomato that we took the slice from. And so I am confident that as I plant these, the seeds from these will produce fruit exactly like their parents, which are these right here. These are the parents. The next generation will produce fruit exactly like fruit produced here. So that's the benefit of using heirloom scraps in order to do these starts. Over here in this tray, I have no idea which of these are either heirloom and open pollinated or a hybrid. Hybrids won't produce true. And so if I'm going to all of this work trying to grow these to produce seed, and the seeds come from a hybrid plant, I'm not going to be able to reproduce the parent at all. So it is just a pay your money, take your chances kind of a thing here. So let's quickly go through these. I guess the winner might be our carrot. It grew the tallest, and only one of the 3 carrots that I put in water to grow roots produced any roots. And this one is doing just fine. I expect that it will indeed go to seed. So right here are the 2 beets. Now, I have not harvested anything. I'm a long way from harvesting anything here, but it may produce seed as soon as the weather warms up enough that I can transplant these out to our kitchen garden. I will be doing that just to see if they produce seed, and we'll come back with another video on that. The celery has grown quite a bit, but it's mostly leaves, very little stalk, nothing usable here, but maybe it will produce seed. This one is certainly a winner. This is the bok choy, and look, we have a flower and seeds already being produced here. But once again, after I collect those seeds and plant them, I don't know if it will be true. So here are our two lettuces. This is the romaine, and this is the leafy green. I was in hopes that these would grow fast enough that I could harvest some and then regrow and harvest and regrow. But I'm not anywhere near ready to harvest this. It would not be good for these little plants to take off what they've put out so far. So I have no idea whether they're going to produce seed or not. We'll see. And as for our onion, you see that it has sent up 3 shoots. This is very slow growing. Slow, slow, slow. So I don't know. We'll just find out what this does. Right now, I just can't say. You might notice that our leek is missing, and that is because hidden among the leaves were eggs for spider mites. And once they hatched out and I noticed what they were, that leek went out to the garbage immediately so that it wouldn't infest the rest of the plants. Mixed results. So the tomatoes are a-okay, no problem there. With these, my hope of being able to have a little indoor kitchen garden, I won't even waste my time trying to do that. The only reason that I would ever use scraps to grow new plants is if we were in a dire circumstance and I had no seed, but I was trying to produce seed by growing a scrap. That is the only way that I would do it. From my perspective, it is far easier and the plants do much better when they are started from seed. And so it's a fun experiment for kids, but even with my grandchildren, I would want to teach them, yes, you can do it from scraps, but in a situation where we would really be depending on it for food, it is not the best way to start. So learned a lot, and we will be coming back sometime in the coming months with an update of which of these produced seed. So until then, we will leave this project behind, and in the meantime, thanks for being with us, and we will see you soon for lots more videos coming.